Yo, you not in our lane, so quit acting like we rockin' the same. What's funny comedy podcast? Are you not entertained? It's time to man up. My live people, put your hands up. From improvisations to stand up, we band up. These haters overheated. We going undefeated. Sit downs and live interviews is what the culture needed. A new monopoly for black comedy. We give it to you haters, straight no chaser, and no apologies, baby. Gorilla knowledge bet, got it set, live and direct, like rapid gunfire from a tech. Wow. Plow, move from the gate now. All these other pods gotta skate now. What's funny to you? Me? What's funny to you? What's funny to me?
Yo, what's going on? It's your man Knowledge. Another episode of What's Funny Today, man. And I got some really, really dope and funny comedians in the building. We're gonna talk about the state of Chicago comedy. Oftentimes it's referred to as the home of the most productive and funniest comics that are out in the game today. And I got some folks here that have been around for 30 plus years in the game, as well as someone that's a little bit more newer to the space. So let's get some introductions going. So I'm gonna start down far here with my man, Sheldon Calhoun. What's up, Sheldon? Appreciate you coming through, bro.
Hey, what's going on, Knowledge, man? Appreciate you for having me, brother.
My man. And now we got two legends to my right here. I'm gonna start with my man in the green. You already know him if you caught him on camera right there. My man, B. Cole. What's up, B? How you doing,
What's
family?
up, man? My man,
Yeah,
Knowledge.
we gotta give him.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man, for real.
Indeed. And then my man representing leaders, one of the funniest, the mayor of Chicago when it comes to comedy, man. He's a fan favorite. My man, Marlon Mitchell. What's up, brother?
Mitchell.
Hey, how you doing? Right on.
Good.
My man.
Thank you, Knowledge. I just want to tell you thank you for having me on here. Appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate y'all, bro. So this is a special episode because, again, we're all Chicago natives. And these two gentlemen here, man, have been in the comedy game for so long. So for the folks that are not from Chicago, because we have an audience that is throughout the U.S. and outside of the country, let's start with you, Marlon. Quick bio. Tell the folks about how long you've been in the game, some of the things you've done in your career.
I think I started, as far as I know, as far as I can remember, I think it was like 1993.
Okay.
Right in there. So I won the Miller Junior Draft Comedy Search. I was in it for 8 years straight, though. I always made it to the finals, but I finally won 2003.
Okay.
I was Comic of the Year 2003. I've hosted some great rooms for comedy in Chicago, a place when we didn't have any comedy clubs to go to called Giovanni's Pizzeria in Dalton.
Yep.
10-year stretch in there, so it kind of helped me, keep my iron sharpened on the mic. I've done a lot.
What was that, a 10-year run, weekly or monthly?
It was weekly.
It was a weekly joint for 10.
Weekly, yeah.
Got you. And then some of the TV stuff you've done.
I've done so much TV stuff. I
Give us a couple. People may want to check it out. Google,
just go back and
YouTube.
check it out.
Yeah.
I did Comic View 5 times straight. Shout out to Damon Williams. Thank you for that.
Yep.
I did Martin Lawrence First Amendment.
Yep.
Shout out to Dion Cole for that. I was on Dion Cole's show, The Black Box. One episode, myself, Muhammad, shout out to him. I done some stuff. I was on the Bozo Show when I was in second grade.
He was.
I was Channel 9. I did a bunch of interviews with some beautiful Chicago people. Michael Mateo on WGN. And I done a bunch of stuff.
Been out here getting it. I got you. B, we know that you got a long list, so keep the highlights.
Oh, yeah.
The highlights, bro. But, man, you've been out here doing great work for years, brother. So
Yeah, man, I started right after graduating Percy L. Julian High School, man, which they just celebrated 50-year anniversary and honored me at the school. So big ups, man.
Congrats, bro. Congrats.
To my high school, man. But right after high school, I started doing stand-up, and I think I was at that age of 19 years old.
Damn.
And as I can remember, I remember starting maybe like a month before Def Comedy Jam aired,
Wow.
So, because, a lot of comedians, I've seen a lot of comedians come out the woodworks because Def Jam inspired a lot of young comics.
Sure.
But that wasn't the case for me, because I was, before the comics did that, like it was a big comedy invasion in 1991. But I had the mindset of like being inspired by, the greats Eddie Murphy and stuff like that. But it took me to see Damon Wayans for me to say, man, I want to do stand up.
Yeah.
Because that's who I connected with. And I like, man, and that's who I was inspired by. And then come to find out, me and the man's birthday on the same day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was that connection. And I was always a student of Robert Townsend and Keenan Ivan Wayans.
Yeah.
So doing the stand-up, when I did the BT's Comic Views, stuff like that. But my whole direction was wanting to get into the films. And like I said, being inspired by someone like Keenan Ivan Wayans and Robert Townsend, I just wanted to gather all my friends up, create a platform, and like, yo, let's get on this. So I produced my first movie, I'm in Love with a Crackhead, directed by Cootie Simmons, who everybody know Cootie.
Yeah.
Then, like I said, Deion Cole, Lil Rel, Marlon Mitchell, Ray Lapowski, my man Tree. They may know him as Timon Durrett. What's his last name? Durrett? Timon. But he's an actor. Catch him on the new black soap opera too, as well, coming out on CBS. But I mean, the list goes on, man. I got a nice size resume, even from performing with Prince, you know what I'm saying? Like on stage where I did my signature poem, I'm in Love with a Crackhead, and Prince played the guitar beside me, you know what I'm saying?
That's
so
crazy.
it was just like, I got so many stories such as that. Right. But like I said, man, it just list goes on, man.
Yeah, we got legends in the building.
Yeah.
Last but not least, the young gun.
Hey, man, you should have started with me.
We wanted it like that, Notch.
I got no accolades like that. Jesus.
That's why I keep it mine short. Like, what B gonna say? I'm gonna be up here hours, so you know Red Fox is my godfather. You know that, don't you? But go ahead.
But no, man. Yeah, man. In March it'll be 4 years for me doing.
Congrats,
comedy,
brother.
man. So
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it, man.
I mean,
Hey, that's good,
4
man.
years,
come
man.
on, man. Folks,
Thank you, man.
salute to that.
You know, they say comedy years is like age years, you know what I'm saying? Your age, so you're a
I'm
4-year-old.
4-year-old,
man,
okay.
So that makes me 34 this year. I'm 34 years coming up. Yeah. So that's good, man.
Lord have mercy. Yeah. Hey, man, no, that's beautiful though, man. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get up to that. You know what I mean?
will.
To that level.
Yeah, just stay
but,
consistent.
you know, man, I started, at my man D Brown open mic, man. Shout out my man D Brown.
Yeah.
Some people know him as Uncle Hank. You know what I mean?
Uncle Hank,
yes, sir.
Started out of his room, man. And I just been
Where
hitting
at?
the ground running. At the Touch of the Past, he was doing an open mic every Tuesday up there.
Okay.
that's
And
a
then,
good
him and Big Lowdown got together and they started doing their thing. And, I still was going to their open mics, but at that point, I was hitting every open mic, you know what I mean? Like, every one that I heard about, I knew Damon Williams was doing a Wednesday at Riddles. Leon, Leon was doing a Wednesday at Bar 10. You know what I mean? So I was hitting both of those every Wednesday. Funny ass Tierra, which people know her now is my cousin Tierra. She was doing a Thursday every Thursday at Scoreboard.
Right.
Jess Niece was doing a Thursday at the Fire Brigade on 84th and Kedzie every Thursday. Marlon was doing Francis every Tuesday. And, so I'm just hitting every single open mic I could.
All of
You know what I mean? Just to try to hone in on my craft and get better at what I'm doing. But my inspiration came from my family and my father. My father's one of the funniest people I know. My uncles and my aunts, and you know what I mean. But Martin Lawrence is one of my biggest inspiration to make me want to become a comedian / actor. And so I just been trying to get it in, man. I can give you some accolades.
That's
I
a
done
pause,
did,
B.
you know what I mean?
Trying to get it in.
Yeah, no,
It come off.
That's a pause right there that y'all.
yeah, come on now. Come on now. Don't do that. I just been trying to get better at what I'm doing. You dig? But no, I've had the honor. I was just about to say I've had the honor to go to Los Angeles like my first year in the game. Like actually my first 6 months, I was able to go out there and I called Mary Lindsay because I had met her and she told me to like let Chris Spencer know that she's teaching me and helping me do my comedy. And, from that word of mouth, I was able to perform on his stage with some of the greatest comedians you'll know. Tommy Davidson, Mark Curry, Melanie Camacho. I was able to open up for them within my first 6 months of doing comedy.
crazy.
So that was an honor to do that.
Yeah, man.
And then just this past February, I was doing first impressions at Chocolate Sundays in LA.
Yeah.
And then the next day, you know, Monday is Monday Rays at the Hollywood Improv.
Yeah.
And I was able to grace the stage with him. Shout out D. Ray Davis for, you know, allowing me to grace his
D-Ray.
stage. So,
Big
you know,
ups.
I got a couple. And that night in particular, Tiffany Haddish and Deion Cole performed. So I opened up for them. So
Strong, bro.
that was a good night, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You gave us a good segue, man. So, you know, some of the names you mentioned and so forth. You guys got started in the 90s, right? We want to try to bring this to like current state of the Chicago comedy scene, but we can't really get here without going back. Right. And so talk to me about the 90s. What was the comedy vibe like in Chicago? Comedians, the audience. You know, when you look back, like you said you were inspired by like Damon Wayans, et cetera, but obviously it really blew up in the 90s, right? It was like the Def Comedy Jams, et cetera. Just what was it like doing comedy during that era? I know you guys are newer, but just share some of your memories and experiences during that time. We'll start with you, Marlon.
Comedy was beautiful in the 90s because as I'm thinking about it, as you're asking about it, it's going back to where the audience, they were there to laugh.
Right.
You didn't have to argue or kind of fight with them to get them excited. They were excited about the comedy. And then you had people that was killing the stage, man. You had the Evan Lonnells, the Damons, the George Wilborns, them dudes, Kenny Howe, Tony Schofield, Adele. Those comics were like killing it.
Right.
And in every room they had, the audience was there. There was no chance upon thinking that it was going to be like 3 or 4 people there and it's going to be off. These mics had people, and the audience was they was ready.
They
for
was
the
ready,
show.
yeah.
They was ready.
Yeah.
So your stage time had to be ready. So the
Right.
open mics was fierce.
Right.
So they was putting out a sheet on who bombed. So if you didn't do good Monday and Tuesday, you can't perform Wednesday.
Right. Word out.
Word is out.
Yeah.
You were horrible. You stunk. So I saw a lot of people quit.
B, add on to that, bro.
Yeah, during the 90s, the magnitude was huge because of the Def Comedy Jams just airing in 1990, 91, the BET's Comic View. So a lot of comedians had something to aspire to get on television.
Right.
Because it was before internet, social media. It was just like, yo, the fight was just to get on this little box that, you know, only a few people can get through the door in. So it was so much competition during that time, but it was all love too at the same time, because comedy was all about love and, you know, comedy, funny, happiness and stuff like that. Like Marlon Mitchell, man, he mentioned the crowd came out, they were there to laugh, but a lot of people who used to watch Def Comedy Jam, that opened a lot of doors for clubs to even have comedy at their venues. Yeah. You know, nobody even heard of a DJ on a comedy show until Def Comedy Jam. So it set the blueprint for a lot. And that's when the shows like Def Jam and Comic View, they were sending scouts out to your city to come see you perform. It wasn't no, you know, download your video, send it through email. It was like, yo, they was coming, sitting in them seats, coming to look at you. And that's how I got discovered, like by BET's Comic View. Because like my first year, they chose me to come out to Hollywood and do the performance. And that's when I got on with D.L. Hughley and stuff like that, the early stages of Comic View. And then Bob Sumner was going around.
Yeah, Bob, yep.
And he was checking out all the comics around the country. But as Bob put it, and he said, like, man, Chicago was a tough choice for him because there was so many great comics in Chicago. Like, you put up 10 comedians, you got nothing but 10 hitters. Right. But it's a lot of hitters who didn't even make that 10 either. You know what I'm saying? Because it was even hard to get that 10. But he had hard choices to make because it's like, man, he can't take everybody. But he had to pick somebody out, man. And he picked some great ones and stuff. So it's like, at that time, man, it was just a lot. But now, since technology, social media, stuff like that, it kind of, you know, brings that down a little bit for comedy. Now it's more simpler to just, you know, send your stuff out, you know, and now the cameras and everything is in comedy clubs now.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, for me as a comedian, it's hard for me to just perform because I know everybody's filming.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, I write material. I got a comedy act. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? But a lot of comedians today is more crowd work now, stuff like that. And you got to get into that. I'm getting into my crowd work more because it's like, I don't want my written material just out there and everything. And I'm still developing it, the whole nine, everything. So it puts you on your toes, man. It's just, you just have to evolve with the game, you know, but it's much different how it was back in 1990. Because go back and look at the Def Comedy Jam episodes, stuff like that. Everybody who was on that first season with Martin blew up big, was considered celebrities right off the cuff.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But if you go back and look at it and just look at them sets, they was pretty much amateur sets. You know what I'm saying? Because them comedians were like young, up and coming comedians in their city, but Def Jam was just a platform, great, but just was able to pick the best out their city. And I can guarantee everybody who was on that set of Def Jam didn't possibly have a whole hour yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they had a good 5 minutes. Like Chris Tucker, case in point. You know what I'm saying? He was traveling with 20 minutes touring. And he was struggling with 20 minutes touring.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But, you know, but that platform and that magnitude at the time blast off.
Yeah.
You know.
So the 90s, what were some spots? What were some spots that people were around then would know where there was dope comedy going on? Obviously, we had All Jokes Aside, right? That's the one that everybody kind of knows.
Yes.
What were some other spots that you all would hit that might jar people's memory if you were around Chicago during that time?
The Cotton Club.
Okay, and that's where Bernie was, right?
Bernie was at the Cotton Club. Then you had the Comedy Click with Diane Corder.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you had Jazz.
Where was the
Spices
Comedy
was
Click?
the-
Where was the Comedy Click?
Comedy Click was
On the main floor of the Click.
Oh, the
Once you got
Click.
in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
which
the
turned
Click
to
had
YouTube.
structure, whereas when they invited people in, they would first go into the comedy show and get some comedy. That's how classy they were. And then you go and you wait, and then they'll invite people upstairs.
Then the second show would begin for
Yeah.
the comedy show.
Second show for the comedy show. So you could either stay for the second show for the comedy show or go upstairs and party.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Diane Corder was the host of that. Shout out
Shout
to
out
her.
to
But we
Diane,
got to
yeah.
give love to my man Darnell Ross. He had Jasmine's.
Yeah, he
Jasmine's
did have
Comedy Club
Jasmine.
over there.
Yeah.
Where was Jasmine's at?
Jasmine's was right there on Halsted, and it's right. You know what Buddha Lounge was? Buddha Lounge. So that
Kinda
whole
that
circle,
Milwaukee.
that little
The
that little
street
intersection.
was, starts with a Kinsey. It was Kinsey.
Kenzie, okay.
Kinsey right off
Halsted.
Halsted.
Halsted, okay.
Around the corner. Right
And then you also had short-lived the Comedy Act Theater, which originated in Los Angeles by
right.
my man Michael Williams. And Michael Williams had his stage and platform out there for a lot of great comedians, and he had Robin Harris as his host.
Yep.
Yeah, he
And
was
then
the
that's
host.
where all the greats started from. I mentioned Damon Wayans, the Torrey brothers. You got, you know, everybody you can think of. They was hitting that stage. So Michael came and opened up a Comedy Act Theater. Well, Chicago was his third club because he went down to Atlanta. He opened up in Atlanta too, where he discovered Chris Tucker and everybody in that note. But when he brought it to Chicago, it was at the old club that was used to be Sawyer's.
Yeah.
Sawyer's was that spot where a lot of house parties used to happen at and stuff like that, with house music. But they made that big venue into a comedy club, the Comedy Act Theater. And I think he made Tony Schofield a host.
He did.
But a lot of great comedians came through there too.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Michael Williams, he was that guy to really give you some gems, man. Because Michael Williams was the guy who told me early in my career, he's like, sex is the easiest thing to talk about. He said that's the easiest thing you can talk about on stage. Challenge yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, in my mind right there, at a young age, I stayed away from the sex topics. But even though if I touched on them, I do them in like a more subliminal way.
Right.
Or, you know what I'm saying, double entendre type thing, you know, but people will get it without actually saying the act. You know, you got to be clever with your material, you know what I'm saying? Just don't make it bland and just top it, but put something on it, man, to make people think.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what's kind of lost in the comedy art today for me, because I see a lot of comedians just out there just doing more crowd work, and then they just talking. It's more like TED Talks now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's You know, because they talking about what's going on in the world, speaking on what's social, you know, whatever social media talk about. That's a great place to pick material from.
Right.
From social media is right there for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to challenge yourself, get a little more deeper, and get out more outside the box than that.
That makes sense. So Sheldon, kind of as a newer comic, right? 4 or 5 years into the game, it's not like it's necessarily on Wikipedia or something like that. How much kind of coming in, how much history and know of the history of comedy in Chicago did you have as you were kind of starting in the space? Did you have any mentors? Did you know any comedians that have been around for a while that you were able to get game off of?
Well, as far as comedy in Chicago, not necessarily,
Okay.
but just comedy in general. I feel like, you know, I've been a student of the game because this is all I've ever wanted to do with my life. Like, I've never had any other dream but to be a comedian.
Wow.
And to be like, you know, Martin Lawrence and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To just be funny. So I did a project in high school where it was like, how has comedy been a tool used to get through pain? That was like the senior project question that I used. And I did so much research on the project because we had to write like 10 pages on it. So I did so much research on it and learned so much about just the history of comedy and like, you know, the Moms Mableys and the Red Foxes and the Richard Pryors, what we was talking about off camera earlier a little bit. But, you know, just, and then learning about the history of Chicago, it's crazy because Marlon mentioned earlier that he was on First Amendment stand-up. And like I said, I'm an avid Martin fan. And I didn't even know I knew him when I first met him. Because I seen him on Martin Lawrence First, but I was like, his voice is so distinctive. I remember that voice from somewhere. And then he did the joke at Francis one night, the loose wow. I'm like, that's my man.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I just connected with Marlon so much from that. And, you know, but just learning, you know, about the history of these guys doing comedy 30 years. And, you know, once I started going to everybody's rooms like Leon Rogers and Damon Williams, I knew about Damon Williams for a long time. My mother's a fan of Damon Williams. They actually went to the same high school together, Lindblom. So I just, you know, study these guys as well. Marlon, B. Cole, and Leon, and, you know, Mike Samp and Baldhead. And I got a CD of Baldhead at Jokes and Notes. My stepfather gave me when I was a kid because he know I wanted to be, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm a huge fan of this.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? I've always wanted to do this.
I got one question. Can I ask?
Yeah, sure.
Who, when you were in high school and you had to do the project, somebody said they was hosting something.
Oh, Just Niche. Yeah, Just Niche. She was doing
That was your first.
Yeah. That was my first time ever like trying out stand-up. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to be funny. And I told a story about my uncle sending me and my cousin, his son, to the store with his link card, and we messed up the complete order. It was funny. But Just Niche, she was working with my cousin at like a social working program where they were helping kids and their grandparents find housing. So you know, that was a beautiful thing she was doing. You know, shout out to Just Niche, man.
And she remembered that because she told me the story.
Yeah, she say that a lot of times when I get off stage. She's like, he was terrible back then. You know what I mean? But it was fun, man. You know what I mean? But Just Niche is doing her thing right now. It's beautiful to see what she's doing right now, especially since I seen her so long ago doing that.
That's awesome.
That's what's up. So, B, you talked about like the evolution of comedy, social media, et cetera. It's changed, right? And I'm able to kind of see it personally, right? Because I kind of took a break from comedy, right? So it's almost like I was in a time machine. I left about 2012, 13, and I really hadn't come back out to the festival. That was the next time that I was really around comedy. But between those 10 years, I might have been to less than 5 comedy shows, right? So after doing every week for 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it was, till that. And one of the things when we talked about doing the festival that Rail and I talked about is like that run, right? And when we left, it was, you know, Monday, Tuesday. So you would get cats coming in from out of town all the time doing that Chicago run. Does that exist today? I know that there's a lot of spots. They just don't seem to be necessarily tied in to one another. Do we have a Chicago run right now?
You know what? Not that I even know of. Here's the thing is that I've been running comedy rooms for the past 20 years, you know? So I've been producing my own shows and stuff like that. So if anybody does come to town they will be connected with my night. Whatever night I had, maybe, Marlon have a Tuesday.
Yep.
Leon got his Wednesday, and mine will fall right into place of that. But I don't think it's like that anymore. I'm not sure. They don't connect the rooms. Here in Chicago, I can say.
Right.
I'm not sure about other cities, but yeah, in Chicago, it's kind of just sporadic. And you just get on. If you just happen to fall in town and be in town on that time,
Right.
somebody's room, it's a possibility you can get on. But it's not like, we got a Monday through Sunday run.
But if you pre-plan it and you got merchandise, because most of them are set up like open mics.
Right.
So you basically can come in and get some time, maybe sell some merchandise. But we're trying to build up on it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This brother got a Monday.
Yep.
Niche took over my Tuesday. She's got Tuesday at the SNL
That's
Wine
that
Bar.
wine bar. Yep.
Yeah. And I just
she's
picked up
not in town, so she's got Joy hosting.
Shout out to Joy Gambino.
And I just picked up a Sunday. So,
so you got a Sunday.
We can all put it together.
Then at Riddles, for the comedy club,
Right.
Damon passed the torch to Stick.
Right.
Stick got the weekend. So
Got the weekend.
comics could make a run out of it.
Right.
But we just need to come together and make it be a real run.
That's what it is.
Right.
'Cause everybody right now
That's
just
all.
individually moving.
Yeah.
But we form like Voltron. We got a complete run. And I think that's what's the problem. We just got to communicate.
That's all.
Yeah, because
That's all.
everybody know each other. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's the comedy world. I feel like, especially here in Chicago, it's a small community, and we all know each other. Especially if we see each other out, we gonna know who who each other is. So I feel like we should just everybody should know about each other's rooms and come and support each other's stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he said, it's pretty sporadic. So everybody's all over the place. Like you said, I got the Mondays that I'm trying to build up. And Tuesdays with Just Niche, I try to get out there as much as I can. It's a lovely space.
Wednesday
It's
with
dope.
Leon and
Wednesday,
Martin doing.
how long they been doing it? Almost about 8 years
8
now.
years.
This is the
Then
8th year.
Thursday with comedian Marlon Mitchell
And
at
Lavu.
Club
Every-
Lavu.
Yeah.
But then you got
And I got
Thursday
Thursday.
at the Royal Bistro
Yeah.
with the What's Fun with the What's
What's
Funny. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got a monthly
What's
going
funny?
on that falls on a Friday. So like I said, if someone come in town and that may be a bigger pay than a weekly run, because a monthly run, comics can get a little extra bread and stuff because it is a monthly. But yeah, man, we can form that. We just got to get together, communicate on it.
Yeah.
Put it together, yeah. So you talked kind of the 90s as I look at it, like this explosion, right?
Yeah.
Of stand-up, et cetera. People are excited. They don't have all of the places to go to be able to see comedy like you do today.
Mm-hmm.
How is the comedy audience today? How is the crowd? Do they still seem to be, is there a thirst for stand-up comedy the way it used to be? Like, as performers, specifically you two, how's the crowd changed? Has it changed? I don't want to say it has changed.
It has changed.
Okay.
And it's a thirst for it, but here it is. The thirst is where these people go and they go and pay the $200-$300s to go to, no shade on,
Yeah.
whoever they are. But they go to those shows, they come to our shows and they tell us the complete truth. They go, I did not laugh as hard as I laughed here.
Mm.
I'm like, because you're up close and personal.
Right.
You hear, and that's cool. It's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we want the respect of the crowd being prepared to laugh. That's all we want.
Yeah.
And people,
They used to come out in droves.
yes.
Right.
And people not much chasing quantity anymore. It's more quality.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm sorry. Let me reverse that. It's more they're chasing the quantity and not the quality of it, because the thing is, it's all about how many followers. It's all about social media presence you have and stuff like that. But like I said, those are the ones they paying the $300, $200 to go see. And man, make your bread, make your money. But a lot of them people
No disrespect to them, get your money, but
they be disappointed though, because it just don't have that, experience of stand-up comedy, real, the comedians who really
when
been
your
through-
stomach hurt
Yeah.
and your face hurt.
yeah, and you're gonna get that
You're not getting that
in the clubs,
at the made up things. You know what I mean?
So
But where it's grassroots at,
Right.
You know, they in there falling all out their seats. They enjoying themselves, and they telling friends to tell friends to come back.
Right.
Because you need this. Some people like, man, I ain't been to a comedy show ever. I'm like, where have you been? How are you a human being and you ain't never been to a comedy show?
But
Yeah.
as an individual comic, you really have to find your tribe, man. You got because it's so many comedians out here. Everybody got their own style of what they do, and everybody follow who they like. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to find your tribe who's going to be behind you and follow you and support you everywhere you go. So that's where the comedy game came in too as well, where it's more individuality. You know, everybody just man for themselves,
Right.
and everybody just getting their followers, and then some comedians do collab together because I do see the comedians like Uncle Hank and them guys creating the videos and even Cousin
That's
Tierra.
great. Do you think?
You know,
But it's a grassroots.
yeah.
And we had to go to them open mics, and it took a long time before you got to the weekend.
Yeah, but by them guys coming together, formatting and putting all their followers together, you know what I'm saying? That makes it even more bigger. So you got to have that collaboration, even though you going out and find your own tribe, but you eventually got to bring all them tribes together to make it even more. You know?
Yeah.
And I see that's what the younger comics are doing, and I salute them for that and everything. But you got to study that craft. You got to know how to present comedy to them people when you got them paying for them tickets. And I've been hearing a lot of stories about, you know, how some of them comedians can't hold up a whole entire show.
Right.
But some of them do great. But, you know, that's just part of the game. But you got to study the craft.
And it's psychological, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be respectful. You up there by yourself. You ain't got no band with you. Go ahead, play the guitar, Charlie. Ain't none of that. It's you.
Yeah.
So you got to be entertaining and
It's no reset button.
exciting.
It's no editing. You know, it's just like you gotta get up there and be face value with a lot of people and do your thing, man.
Yeah.
So speaking on that, so Sheldon, you're a 5-year in person, right? So when I hear part of why I sit into these is because I know that they're going to give me a comedic lens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking somewhat comedically, but more how to put the masses in the seat, how to make it make sense, how to make sure everybody can live life, pay bills, etc. As someone who's been in, you have what I call like comedy purist, right? These are comedy purists. They came through a certain way, right?
Okay.
Like Marlon just talked about, to get to the weekend. That's not necessarily the game today. And so as you look at it and building your career, how do you look at like content creation, stand up? You know, content creation gets the people.
Mm-hmm.
You get the people, you can get to the road. You know, whether you want the dope show, obviously, but part of it is, you know, you want to do this, right? You want to live a certain type of lifestyle, et cetera. How do you determine how your career looks? I feel like for these guys, it was kind of set to like what the steps were.
Yeah.
Today it's different. So how do you look at building your brand, building your career with the content creation, the online stuff versus the straight up stand-up stuff?
Well, I feel like me personally, I've done a mixture of both because I play characters online and I do a lot of skits as well. But I also do a lot of stand-up. Like every night I'm trying to do stand-up because I know that whether you got 3 people or 30,000 people in front of you, you're going to have to make them laugh. You know what I mean? And the only way you can make them laugh is by doing it every night. You know what I mean? It's all about repetition when it comes to stand-up comedy. Now, content creation, that's just something that you can do off of a random thought or a random idea, and it could go viral or it won't. You know what I mean? And once it go viral, that could possibly mean you got 30 shows lined up for you the next 30 days. You know what I mean? Now you on the road. So it could happen like that, or, you know, it can happen either way. So I've seen it happen for people, you know, they go from like, okay, funny ass Tierra, for example, my cousin Tierra. Like I said, she was doing scoreboard every Thursday. You know what I mean? And let's say 7-8 months later, she on the road with 200K followers. Next 2 months, she got 500K followers. Now she at almost 800,000 followers. You know what I mean? She booked and sold out every week. You know what I mean? Just off a video going viral. You know what I mean? So, and of course, she's been honing in on the stand up as well. So I can say she got a mixture of both.
Right.
So I try to keep
She
that.
does.
You know what I mean? I try to keep that mixture of both. You know, when it comes to stand up, because I like to be ready for anything that I'm put in front of. Say somebody need me to go on the road with them and be like, man, can you do 30 minutes? I'm like, of course, I can. Yeah, no problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or can you come shoot this skit with me and kill this part? Can you come play this character and do it? I'd be ready for it. You know what I mean? So I try to, try to be, what do you call it? Like
Flexible.
Flexible and great with both tools. You know.
I got you.
But see, what I noticed about the content creators is like me going back saying finding a tribe. You know what I'm saying? Because even I think I heard cousin Tierra on here saying like, yo, my people don't even go to comedy shows. They come see me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. Like if she got 200K, 500K followers, those are 500 cousins of hers. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
That want to see
her. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing when I mean by following your tribe, because even with her followers, she can team up with someone else like a Corey Bell, Just Niche, and all them followers together. Man, you got a big explosion of comedy. You know?
Absolutely.
So it's ways to play the game. Just got to know how to play it these days, because there's so many different avenues now that you can go down. But when we were coming up, it was just like one avenue.
Right.
And we trying to get onto these platforms.
Right.
That, like, here's
Fundamental.
Here's the BT stop.
Right.
Here's the Def Jam spot. Here's this stop. Here's this stop. And we want to hit all those
Hopefully
stops.
somebody will see you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to touch on that too, because like you said, like y'all mentioned earlier, it was no social media back then for y'all.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for the people who was coming out in droves to see y'all, like at Jokes and Oats, and all the people that was coming out to see y'all at all that's because they heard about it from somebody. You know what I mean?
On the radio.
Just
or
social
something.
media, they can just flip, now this person like looking at your channel, or they looking at your page, they like, oh man, this dude got 250,000 followers. He must be funny, man. Everybody, y'all, let's go see him.
And if you
know what I mean? It wasn't like that for y'all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a huge difference, I feel like, in the crowds that was coming out.
Yeah.
Because say you got a crowd, say it's a crowd of people that's coming out in droves to see y'all because they heard about y'all from all the people in the Jokes and Notes era or whatever, right? And now they seeing this person with 250,000 followers. They want to come see this person. But he got openers that's finna come on the stage. They ain't even showing no respect to these people. And these people are hilarious. They want to just come see this person with the 250. As soon as they come up there, they got the respect. And you know what I'm saying? So it could be like that too sometimes. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to say that about the difference in the crowds, how you ask.
But a lot of these, the followers that people have too, you got to think about it like, the internet and social media it's a lot of young people on there too as
They
well.
can't even come to the club.
They're not even old enough to come to the club, but you already got your ready-made audience for the time when they come. So that's a good plus too, because you're guaranteed to have your career still going 10 years later when they become adults and be able to hit the club. So you got long-lasting longevity, but you have to sustain by the time they get to make it to the club. You got to still be, you know what I'm saying, shining just bright enough
like
for
a Snoop
them.
Dogg.
Yeah.
You know, right.
Yeah.
So it's like people just got lifelong fans. So that's the plus about the internet too, because you capturing them young and then they'll come in and steady following you. So yeah, man. But
So let me ask you this. So Marlon, B, you all have been in the game for a bit. Like, again, from a comedy purist, it's about, continuing to kind of hone your craft, working on your stand-up, et cetera. But we're also looking at how do I take my career to the next level? So from a strategy perspective, how do you all think about how do I use this tool that much more, right? Because it touches so many things. So one, we talk about hitting the road, but even having, I think I'm 4 episodes in on this, but even having Cousin Tierra's episode, you can look at her episode comparative to my other episodes, right? So at the end of the day, as someone who's trying to build a nice podcast, naturally, we talk about clubs, et cetera. I get it. I hear some comics like, they just looking at who got followers or whatever. But at the end of the day, they gotta keep them clubs open,
no doubt.
right? That is a huge. That's a huge part of it,
what it's
right?
about.
Like you want to be a comedy purist as a club owner, but you may be closed, and then you're no good to anyone, right? At the end of the day, and so for you too, one, are you guys? How are you all looking to try to leverage the internet? Because the benefit that you do have is if you're able to get that muscle going, pause, right? Then you look at, you
Pause
have the
one
stage
more time.
work. Then you had a stage work,
Right.
right? So at the end of the day, it's
So
like,
iron sharp as iron.
exactly. Like
You
if
got
I
it.
see Marlon, not like I'm a super fan because I love what he do online, but man, I had no idea.
He was
right?
really that
And,
funny.
and
that's
I've
the
seen
benefit.
it like with Real, right? Because a lot of the people that come see him when he does hit the road now, they're movie fans, right? So they really don't know the stand up like that.
He was a stand up first.
Exactly. When we get to that stage, it's like,
And
oh
he
man,
got his start in I'm in love with a crackhead.
I'm in love with a crackhead, right?
Running across the thing. You go from there
Right.
to
He's the
this
stunt
dude
double.
and all stand up in between.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
That's a nice portfolio.
So how
I'm
do
proud of
you
my
all
little
look at it
brother.
like, I'm going to jump in, I'm just trying to figure out how to jump in, or because I've also heard some seasoned comics be like, that just ain't really my thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, you're not, it's a business. Business
Yeah,
evolves.
business is a business.
Yes.
I want to jump in. Let me in. We used to run. Let's run together
Yeah.
again.
I think the game
Let's put the
automatically.
band back together. These dudes know what's popping.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but here's the
D-Ray
thing.
know what's popping.
Yeah.
Dion know what's popping.
Yeah.
Lil Real know what's popping. Evan Larnell know what's popping. Put the band back together, dog. Don't let me rot,
I want to speak on that.
because I'm living in a fucking hovel.
But
Write me in.
but that's the thing.
James Hanna, man, shout out to him.
Shout
Shay, come on, man, let's get it back together. Be-Cole sitting right here.
Facts.
Still got green eyes. Come on, y'all.
But you can't wait. You can't wait on it, man. And if you sit back and waiting on that, then you know telling how long you'll be waiting.
Yeah.
We not
So
waiting
you
on it,
gotta
but I'm
move.
like,
But-
dog, come on, Corey Holcomb, come on, man.
I understand that, man. But the thing is, just they'll
I
see
just
you.
looked at the internet
But
the other
but
day.
just do you and they'll see you.
But
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
what
So
I'm doing.
therefore,
You're right.
when you raise up in that, because here's the thing: the evolution of comedy, it changes every period. Like time in life, it changes. Like when we had to get on for Def Comedy Jam and the BT Comic Views and all the television shows, the generation before that had to do like the Ed Sullivan show. You know what I'm
Yeah, they
saying?
did.
They had to be on
But
the Johnny
somebody
Consti
opened
platform.
the door for them for that. Because it was prejudice in that.
Exactly. So
So
it
we need to
goes
take
way,
care of each
way
other.
back. But at the same
Cheryl
time,
Underwood, come on, now.
but my point I'm making is that you have to adjust to what's new out here to
Right.
get on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because now it's with the internet, and me as a veteran comic, my thing is like the best thing I can do is strengthen my brand as a stand-up comic, because that's the most purest form that I can have to,
You're right. You're
to
right
get
about
ahead,
that.
because I've dipped off into the filmmaking, directing, producing, writing, and all that, but it's taken away from the stand-up. But what allowed me to get the budgets for the movies and people to believe in me, it was from the Be Cold stand-up brand.
Right.
So
You
you
know what I'm
want to get on the
saying?
stage more.
So I got it. So the whole thing is like, let me get back out here and dust off.
Yep.
It's kind of
Just like,
get back out here, come out the bat cave and out the laboratory and get out here and
Work that
do the
muscle.
rooms. Like I gotta go by Sheldon's
Pause.
room, his Monday nights.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I gotta hit Leon's room. These are rooms I don't hit. For me to be on stage, I create my own stage. I produce my own shows.
but these stages got to be promoted correctly.
Yeah.
If it's promoted or not.
You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing.
What?
If it's promoted or not, if Sheldon doing his job, what he's supposed to do is open mic. If it's promoted or not, I'm coming there to get some stage time and rock in front of an audience. If it's 2 people, if it's a crowd, I'm coming
Understandably,
and
but
sharpening the skills.
But we got control and so much respect for the game that we can promote these shows properly.
collectively.
Get on the internet. We can do some skits. We still got air in us. Let's do it while we living.
And I agree on that.
Absolutely.
But at the
Come
same
on.
time, bro, I've been doing that before the internet days. Like I was ahead of my time doing skits, because I was showing skits in the nightclub on the projector screen.
You were.
In between the comedy and stuff
You
like
were.
that before there was an internet.
But
But
let's do it again. That's how they made Uptown Saturday Night. Let's do it
I
again.
know, man.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Repetition.
But like you said, it's the fire have to come.
Well, come
into
on.
it.
They blew
But-
it out. We got to light it
But
back up.
what made you comics believe in me?
But we ain't gonna recreate the
what made
wheel,
everything
B.
believe in me is being Be Cold.
Being right.
You know what I'm saying? That name, that brand, the stuff that I was doing to show who I am, that's what made it easier for these guys to believe in me, like, we behind you. Nobody can get behind you when they don't see you out here enough and they don't believe in you like that. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, like, I'm taking off the producer's hat, director's hat, let that go. Let me get back to what it all started from.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a total reset. I'm going back to 1991 and I'm coming back on beast mode, like, boom, because we were a competitive generation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was competition.
I'm sure.
And we had to fight to get to the top.
I feel
and
like
that's the mold I'm back into. You know what I'm saying? That's
love
me.
that.
A lot of people who haven't seen me since the 90s or comic view them days and stuff like that, when they see me now and they happen to see me and come see me on the show, I get the same thing, like, man, you still got it.
Right.
And I'm like, it never left.
Right.
It's just that I'm just not performing in areas that's really give me that exposure.
And we have to look at that audience, right? And I know you want to jump in, but like, even again, being back out here a couple months, I'm like so if we talk about the audience that enjoyed you in the 90s, where are they at in life right now? Right. I feel like there's stages, right? There's stages in this comedy game. Like, there's a space right now. If you just went by and got everybody's age there, right now it should be the 25 to 40, like, that's who's supposed to be in these clubs.
Yeah.
And there's a, in my opinion, right, specifically Chicago, like, there's a responsibility of the comics of that's your lane, right? Like, you know, your age group needs to be out of the comedy club. I feel like there's a gap. You know, I feel like there's a gap in terms of, you went by jokes and notes, you still, you know, some 24, some 25, like, they growing up in comedy, they're not going to leave it if they grow up in it, right? But I feel like over the last X amount of years, a little bit of that audience we've let them go, right? We've let them go, and now they're karaokeing or hookahing or whatever. But they're
And we
not
got to go back and get them.
We got to go back and get them, right? We got to be, and to go back and get them, I feel like I love to see all of the rooms everywhere, but at the end of the day, they're little small businesses, right? And to have a business, it has to be certain stuff, got to be funding, got to promoting know-how, just there's a lot of things that have to be in place. I'd love to see us say, we're going to create this run. Here are the 5 that happen. Everybody put in on those. We got a strong Monday, a strong Tuesday, because then now that brings the comedians from out of town here, right? So again, you think of your networks. I don't know. Sheldon has a unique situation about getting out of Chicago so early, but I don't know if he could just go to any city and because of that networks there. But back in the day, all of those guys were coming through Chicago. So I think instead of having 30 little random spots, if we get 5, everybody put on that, whether it's yours or not, you post them, right? I'm going to start that through What's Funny, like post is Monday. I don't have anything on Monday. If I had something on Monday, post is Monday.
Then comics that are doing those big shows, they used to come to the open mic and just sit in the back, and then they used to tell me, don't announce me as me. Just announce me as some random dude, and then just let me go up there and do my jokes. I used to do that.
Right.
I used to do that for all of them.
Yeah.
I think with the audience today, a lot of people who watch the shows used to come out to see live comedy in the 90s. You know, they're older now, man. They're in the 60s and 70s right now and stuff, but they still want to get out and see comedy. But the thing is, the internet really scares a lot of people from going out when they see comedians just picking on them in the audience, making them part of the show.
No doubt.
When they see comedians getting attacked on stage.
Because they
you know
figure you ain't got no jokes.
But at the same time, then they figuring what type of environment I'm going to be when you got when audience members jumping on stage ready to fight the comedians and stuff and all that. So that generation is like, no, that ain't me. I'm going to be away from that. So when I do my shows, as I say, I produce my own shows. Yeah. And my crowd, my audience, the demographic of that is 50 and up, is the people who used to see me in the 90s. And I got a residency that I've been doing for over a year now at Theater 47 in Park Forest. Yeah. And the age range is 50 and up. So when I do book the younger comics, because every platform I create is for the new younger comics to come in. But when they come in, I'm like, yo, this is a different kind of crowd. This is an older crowd. You know what I'm saying? So bring that. You know?
Mature, grown.
Yeah.
Tax-paying crowd.
But it's some comedians who I know can do that. Even some young comedians that I do have a peep at and seeing they work, I know they can do it, and I invite them to do that. But it was like some comedians who come in and ask for a guest spot who I haven't seen before. You got to do a guest spot. And when they do it, sometimes they fall flat. Yeah. But
Because they think they can
good.
do this. They think this is easy.
But yeah, man. But them
Because you're
audiences,
accessible, they think they can do it.
yeah, them audiences go to like different type of events. If it's comedy there, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's some private type of events that, because I do it more private events than anything now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot of them out there. You know, because you do one private event, you get recommended and referred to someone else. You know.
I've done some private events with this dude.
Yeah.
No Diddy on that.
Yeah. I know where he was going with that.
Pause, no Diddy.
So to say that, for me to be missing in action, as people say, or like where's B Cole and stuff like that, like, yo, I'm still working.
Yeah.
But it's like I had the fame and all that in the 90s, man. And just on that, I ran from that. I didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? Because that BET Comic View and all that being on that little television. So even for the talent today, the comedians today being famous on the internet,
Right.
man, I can't even imagine. You know what I'm saying? I want to do the work. I just want to do the work.
trying to do the work,
And
yeah.
I'm not trying to seek the fame, none of that stuff, the whole
Hey, can I
nine.
tell y'all what I just laughed at?
Yeah. Go ahead.
This dude got 1 million skits. Him talking right now, he got a skit where he just want a shout out. Man, that's the funniest in the world.
Yeah.
I wish we could throw that skit up. This dude they be at gravesite. Somebody getting buried, crying. He like, hey, Rev, can you shout me out?
You shout out, yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out, dude.
Yeah, man. It's
that's
so crazy. That's what. That particular.
And that
skit.
one you and Grady and
Yeah.
Buck Wild did. Shout out to Grady and
But
Buck
it was
Wild.
that skit, and then it was one I did with Vanessa Fraction
my
called
God.
Crazy Bitch, right?
Oh man, my son was in that skit.
Yeah, he was. So those
the one that's
skits,
27.
Yeah.
but let me tell you, those skits had them two skits. A shout out and Crazy Bitch had Stan Lathan call me personally at home at my home, telling me how much he loved the skits and he would love for me to be on Def Jam. Just from them skits. Because this was the year 07 when DL Hughley was the host, 2007. They wanted to incorporate sketch comedy into Def Comedy Jam. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they didn't do it. They just went with the regular formula. But that's how I got invited in. You know what I'm saying? Just through the skits. Without
skit,
internet.
yeah. Right.
But Bob Sumner put it on Stan Lathan's table. Because
Gotcha.
Bob was a fan of Shout Out. And then but Stan loved Crazy Bitch. You know what I'm saying? So he put me and Vanessa on Def Jam.
And House
From
was to
that.
be on there, but I won the Miller, and that was the year Def Jam had canceled. They stopped.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to, when I won, you supposed to be on Def Jam.
Yeah.
Got you. So let me ask you, what do you think about this comedy, stand-up comedy, say stand-up comedy shows, right? Rooms, etc. Does it need a refresh, meaning does it need to evolve into a little bit something else, right? The comedy, and you see people do shows, you see promoters do shows with the touch of comedy, but they're doing some other things as well. Again, just moving along with the times. When you think about it, like even the attention spans of people to sit there and watch comedy for 2 hours, that was commonplace back in the day. But now people, I got to pick up my phone. I got to do.
Yeah.
I can't even check the show out because I'm just, you know what I'm saying?
But that's why at the big ones, they take your phone from
That's right.
you.
That's right.
You
And the
don't
record,
get it
exactly.
You don't do you can't do nothing but enjoy the show.
Right.
And they do, once they figure it out,
Yeah.
they enjoy the show.
Yeah.
So now they don't have no phone to grab. I gotta watch this.
Yeah.
And they enjoy themselves.
That's what I wanted to touch on too, as far as like, the successful what happened?
Nah, go ahead, bro.
Another pause. Damn.
Pause.
My bad. That's what I wanted to add something on
It's a
to.
sausage show.
That's what I wanted
that's
to
something I
add
wanted
something
to
on
touch
to.
on.
No, but as far as like, being successful in the game, like the social media thing is where it's at right now. Like it's probably the way, like, because in the 90s and in y'all era, it was only a way to, let's start like with the Johnny Carson era. If you got on the couch, then you was going somewhere after getting on the couch. You know what I mean? Like you get on Conan O'Brien or Jimmy Kimmel Live or something, and then they get you to do 3 or 4, 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So you probably finna get some shows lined up after that. You know what I mean?
course, yeah.
So at this point in the era of time, the social media thing is where it's at. Look at the Desi Banks and the DC Young Flies and the B Simones and they got 2.8 million followers, 7 million followers on there, and they selling out shows everywhere, going everywhere. You know what I mean? So I feel like, you gotta do something to get your social media following up. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to work on right now, as far as like, with my the characters that I play, the Caddy Cocaines and the Nigerian Obanochie that I play, whatever. You know what I mean? Just trying to get something going. Number. You know what I mean? And as well as doing stand-up every day and working on my craft. You know what I mean? Keeping that sharp.
Yeah, it's necessary. It's necessary at the end of the day. It's not even unique to comedy, right? You talk about hip hop, right? You think about, some of these 90s cats that we grew up off of, et cetera. I don't know what life is like for them right now. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, and it's changed, right? It's changed. It's a different sound, right? The lyricism isn't as important, et cetera. And so it's the same thing in all things. Everything kind of evolves at the end of the day. And, the Chicago comedy scene has evolved. I can see the difference, feel the difference. It's funny you said about sex being the easiest thing. Every fourth Thursday at the Royal Bistro, I do a showcase, right? So I had like 4 or 5 comics come up. Every set was sex. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I'm always super cognizant of that because I'm like, it's not easy to get people in these seats. And depending upon what crowd you have, it's almost like, I had, a husband, wife celebrating an anniversary, and they brought their daughter, right, of age, and it's been like every joke is sex. Like
it don't matter
that's
how
probably
old you
like
are, you're gonna be uncomfortable.
You're gonna be uncomfortable with your parents,
and
they
your parents
probably
gonna feel uncomfortable too.
So they're done.
They can't even laugh at each other and agree with each other. None of that.
But you know what's crazy about that? They'll sit there for the whole evening, and then in the ride in the car going home, they like, we ain't never got to go back there.
Exactly. And that's who does that hit? That's me at the end of the day, right? So,
but you know what it is, knowledge too as well. Like promoters back in the day, or the promoters who really respect the game and love comedy and comedy fans, such as yourself.
Yeah.
Talk to the younger comics. They told us, they guided us.
Gave you a pamphlet here, but don't say.
And not saying that's not what's in your heart to do today. Is just a lot of these comics give that aura that they don't, not even to give some advice to somebody because they're not gonna take it, and they just gonna just one in and out the other. So you just wasting your time and your breath, Right. Because I experienced that with a lot of comics coming up, and then I see them doing the exact same thing. What I told them suggested they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I just like, well, I just stopped talking to them, man.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I'm done.
Yeah, but like I said, that one thing Michael Williams told me about sex, he's like, that's the easiest thing that you can ever talk about.
Right.
Talk about something else. Challenge yourself.
Right.
That's all I needed. He didn't have to give me this whole scripture or anything. You know what I'm saying? Just said that one little line, and then that changed my whole dynamic.
Indeed. Well, brothers, man, we can talk for the next couple of hours about Chicago. So much more to get into, man. But this is really just part one of it. Obviously, this city we all call home. Yeah. It's recognized across the board as, obviously we're going to say Chicago produces the strongest comics, but any comics in other cities, they all respect Chicago and they know what Chicago is. And so I felt like for those that are outside the city, coming through the city and maybe wanted to kind of figure out what's going on, let's kind of throw out some of the shows and days and things that we have going on, just so, again, anybody trying to check shows out. Biko, you're producing shows. When?
Well, I have a monthly that I do, Theater 47, Park Forest. It falls on typically like the third Friday, last Friday. But it's called the League of Extraordinary Comics. Dope. You know what I'm saying? So I just created this whole little organization where a lot of young comedians can come get their exposure, showcase, and stuff like this on this platform. But like I said, goes back to they're part of a production, theatrical production. The next date is March 21st, the day after spring, March 20th. So it's the first day of spring, really, like that first Friday of spring. Okay. We got the next show, man. My man Jeff Hall, Erica Switzer, and Beans. I got them on the show. But man, yeah, it's that. And then also I have Sunday nights at the Supper Club, Revel Supper Club. That's the new club that's just opened up. Used to be Tavern on LaGrange.
Okay.
On LaGrange, stuff like that. But Sundays we got gourmet comedy. on them Sunday nights starting in March.
Okay,
So that's
dope.
going to be that. So y'all look out for that.
Dope. And Sheldon?
Well, I'm at the View every Monday. That's 1701 West Roosevelt.
Okay.
So every Monday, man, we up there, and it's also like a movie night every Monday before they start my show. So people can come through, watch a movie, and then stay for the show if you like to do that. That's every Monday, and also be looking out, man. I'm doing a 30-minute birthday special for my 30th birthday this year.
Dope.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it 30 for 30.
Dope.
You know what I mean?
Love,
So
love.
we do a little something, man. So y'all look out for that, please, man.
I like the title.
That's
And
what's
also, if you can check me out on any platform at Sheldon Calhoun 95, man, check me out.
up. Word up. Solid, bro. Marlon, what about you, bro?
Every month I'm on this very, very way up in the air platform. It's called What's Funny. What's Funny? I'm bringing emerging house music
I love
with
that room,
comedy,
man.
which is old school within itself.
Yes.
It's nostalgic. This month, this month,
This month, March
March
7th.
March 7th, which is the first Friday in March. We got JD.
Yes, sir.
West Side,
shout out to
Chicago's
JD.
own. We're going old school with it. And on Thursdays, I do the Lavu, which is out in Chicago Heights, black owned, black operated. And some weekends, I'm at Riddle's Comedy Club. I'm trying to keep my tool working. You know what I'm talking about? Working that muscle. Pause. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that's shout out to Stick. He doing his thing out there. And then I'm just really all over the place because comedy is my main source of income nowadays. And I got to feed my children. I got kids in college. They keep calling. And I keep telling them, I'm waiting on the Zelle, baby. They going to sell me.
But it's keeping you sharp too, man.
Yeah,
Because where you say you living at?
I ain't going to tell you.
Because the thing is, when you sharpen your skills, man, it's part of the struggle.
You
When
keep
you're
struggling.
struggling,
Yeah, I'm struggling.
you out there, you hungry.
I know I look
though.
like I ain't doing it,
But
but I'm struggling.
I got a question for you, Knowledge, and by you being a promoter and booking nice names and acts come to your shows and everything. Now with the internet that plays into that too, it can either help them or it can destroy them. Because I know as a comedian that you said you had booked, I don't have to say the name, but just recently he had a situation on social media where now people are more against them than for him.
Yeah.
So how does that affect your show? And knowing that it may affect some ticket sales or something like that. Because if you see him getting booed or anything on social media, and the whole world's watching, then you promoting him like he's going to be here next week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's kind of tough.
So that's what I'm saying. So the internet can help, or it can, not.
Yeah, you're right, bro. And again, part of this conversation is one I think is good to have, right? I think as a community, comedy community here in Chicago, producers, promoters, performers, comedians, I think we should do a better job of connecting and really sitting down, looking at it like an industry, right? As an industry, we own it. I think if that happens with more strategy, I think we'll be in a good place. But I think it starts right with the audience. And there's something at this audience that people are probably not looking at. Like when we did the festival, again, that was the first time I'd done a comedy show in years. And not just the comics. So I saw from a comic standpoint, it seemed like cats wasn't really rocking the same. Like, man, what you mean you ain't seen so-and-so? I'm like, back in the day, that was an every night kind of sort of thing. So hearing comics say they hadn't seen people, and it took this to kind of bring them together. And then actually having audience people coming up like, yo, we need this. It's so appreciated. Like, what you mean? It's a comedy show. Like, what makes this... But you know what?
But they saw it from an audience member's point of view. They went every night.
Correct.
Yeah.
I went every night.
Yeah. That part too. And the reason I say the organization piece, that was the first time you saw everybody, really the whole comedy community was pushing in one direction. Yeah. So to all of Chicago, Marlon saying, come out Tuesday. Yeah. It's not your show, but you just saying come out.
On out.
And so you just saw these nights just selling out. And even if you're not a comedy goer, it's like, I got to get to one.
We
made it exciting as a community.
Yeah.
And I think right now it's hard for Sheldon to get all of Chicago with all of this noise, with everything going. It's hard for me to make a hot Thursday with so much going on. But if you have 50 people saying, go through there, then it gets hot.
It's a team.
It gets
effort.
hot. And once it gets hot,
It's a team,
y'all going to do your thing when you go up there. So the
man.
product is going to be good. That's my job. That's you all's job. But you were able to see people all moving in one direction. And I think that's something that we need to focus on. And then we can spread out, right? We can spread out and say, you know what? We ready for another room. So-and-so should go do that room, et cetera. And anybody who wants to go off the reservation, they can go off the reservation. That's cool. But they're not going to have the bagging of the family. You know what I'm saying? And the family is the org,
It's
right?
us.
Yeah, it's kind of, you know, yeah.
The world
yeah.
revolves around people helping people. If you ain't helping, the wheel don't turn.
Exactly. And it becomes a lighter lift for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? What if everybody said, come through, you know, Comedy House series on March 7th to celebrate J Deep joint. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And then bring some people
And
with
everybody
you.
gonna come, if you come through, you celebrate comics saying this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know, that
You ain't got to spend a night, but just drop
yeah,
through.
yeah. Make some
Or
noise
even
about
if,
it.
even if you can't make it, still send people, man.
Still
Send
send
people.
people.
Like,
Still
if
send
you
people.
can't make it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just send them out.
Yeah. So man, I appreciate you all coming through. Sheldon, glad you was able to ride along with some legends, man.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me, brother.
Yeah, love what you're doing. So keep up the great work, and brothers, you always know I'm here to, you know, support partner in any way that we can, man.
Vice
So,
versa, man. You know,
Vice
we with you,
versa.
bro. We with you, man.
Indeed.
Shout out to the Bam Jam.
Yeah, Bam
Jeff
Jam.
B,
too, as
Muhammad,
well, y'all.
this dude right here. We've been all over the place. We doing laundromats now. We doing
Wherever we
bowling
can get
alleys.
in, man.
We booked comics, bookers, so you can have a good time, laugh, and we
Get
can do it again.
four good headliners.
That's
man,
it.
on the show.
Again, make sure you continue to check us out at What's Funny Today. Again, covering everything urban comedy. Shout out to my man, comedian Marlon Mitchell. That's your man, B. Cole,
Yes,
right
sir.
there. And that's the young gun, Sheldon Calhoun. So make sure you tap in with us, follow us on social media, and make sure that you hit one of these rooms or all of these rooms that we talked about. We catch you next time. Peace.